me say good morning. Let me say good morning. Good morning to the entire Tri-Island State this morning. And yes, how's everybody doing? And all for the islands. Yeah, I hope everybody's doing okay. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. Yes, should I say the end of the work week for a vast majority of us. There are those who still work on a Saturday. Some go on to Sundays, but the week rolls Monday to from Sunday to Friday, So Monday to Saturday, most of us do work from Monday to Saturday. But for a vast majority, our work week wraps up on a Friday. Especially, as again I said, those who may roll into Saturday. So for those of you who will be wrapping up your work week today, certainly hope it was a pretty fruitful one for you in terms of all that you had done this particular week. Yes, and they'll go on tomorrow. The weekend work, well, suddenly do understand you got to do what you have to do. All right. Let me say good morning to my viewers this morning. Those of you via GBN TV, good morning. How are you? Hope you all is well. And thanks for taking the opportunity to tune in this morning. It's to the point, the final edition for this week here on GBN Network. So those of you also via social media platform, let me say good morning to you, especially those of you via the Facebook page, those of you via the YouTube channel, those of you who are also tuned in via the website, gbn.gd. And thanks once again for tuning in as usual. It's Friday. It's Open Line Friday today again, which means you viewers, callers, etc. You have the option of calling in and sharing your views and concerns pertaining to things that happened during the course of this week. Yeah, there's something you may want to about that happened during this week. You may just want to review throughout your concerns about it. Lots happened this week. We talking, but from Parliament opening. Yes, resignations, folks who have done this, done that. And you probably just want to chime in on these issues this morning. Maybe something you have mentioned during the course of this week when we did have the previous calling segments, and probably hasn't been taken care of. So you want to kind of remind, of course, the authorities about it. You have the option of doing that this morning. So the number you can call, 435-2041, 435-2041. Yes, and someone said, I always don't say my name because sometimes folks call me other individuals. I'm GT. I could simply go by those initials this morning. Just call me GT. I could work with that. And so we taking your phone calls, 435-2041, 435-2041. It's Friday, the 2nd day of September. Yesterday I was saying, it's the best month of the year. Some folks may not like to say something about September does give people a little bit of phobia. I understand, but for me, it's the best month of the year. All right, let's go to the phone line. Take our very first caller this morning. Caller, good morning. Good Friday morning to you. Good morning. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, a lot of talk has been made about the current Governor General. Mm-hmm. But I wish to advise this present government to keep her there. She might be hoping that she can be released or relieved of her job, but her pay continues. I'm asking this present government, keep her there to do the work that she ought to do. Mm-hmm. Because you see, after you relieve them and they go home, the pay continues until they die.
Really?
Yes. The pay continues until they die. You understand? Right now, Danny Williams is getting his pay.
So technically, it's a lifelong job, per se.
You understand? So therefore, just make sure that she does her work. And I think she's waiting patiently to be relieved. Don't relieve her. Get her work for her money. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution this morning. 435. I actually never knew that, so I'm happy that I have learned that this morning. That I always thought when the Governor General has been replaced by someone else, the job ceases. But understanding that this morning, that's a no-no. Interesting. Hey, don't forget, folks, when you're calling, let's try to keep your comments short. All right, try to keep your comments as short as possible. Just get to the point and then wrap it up. Sometimes we don't want to delay, because sometimes if I'm going to see you going over a minute and a half, I may ask you to wrap up. All right, let's go to the phone line and say good morning to this caller. Good morning to you.
Good morning, GT. The thing about it is almost forgetting what I was going to say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a concern I have. Apart from what is happening in Grenada now, you have situations worldwide where the climate. What is happening in Pakistan now, where a third of the country is inundated and it will affect, as the minister is saying, it affects even the food production and so on. Are we aware that some, like for instance, Pakistan is one of the producers of split peas?
Yes.
Although I don't know if we get one of the major producers of split peas. It is possible that if we do get our stuff from Pakistan, like split peas, we will be in out for shortage. So my whole thing is that I don't think there's a sense of urgency in this country in terms of responding and preparing for any eventuality. And to me, business as usual. And I'm saying that right across the spectrum now, not just people from the government, that people just have no. And you just have to have one event and we're in crisis.
I understand where you're going with that there, caller.
So
certainly do understand.
We need to have some kind of conversation where engaging as many people as possible to understand that we must do something. Because we are not, people that say that we are guerrilla Grenadian thing. I don't think so. It could be affect us just as any other nation.
I think the problem too, caller, is that sometimes we here in Grenada, this little rock, we see things not affecting us directly until it's too late. Yeah?
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying for years, to do that. Before Hurricane Ivan came, I was saying that the way we were preparing was not proper. In fact, I used to be ridiculed by people like doing the function that you're doing there until after that they had to come back and say, oh, yes. I mean, I was right. And not that I'm saying I want to be, egoistic, but one of the function of a leader is to point out what other people are not seeing at the moment or capable of seeing.
All right.
Some of us, we see things in advance. So that is why I'm keeping, up the thing. One final thing about the heat. I really wish that we could also discuss the heat. I was speaking to one of our new students who just went to St. Augustine. And she can't even stay in her place, in her room, because it's too hot. She has to go out with some other people. I mean, for the time being, until she could get a fan. And so, I mean, the heat is killing us in the region.
Yes, the humidity is out of the world these days, man. I certainly
so we could assist by not cutting down trees and not spraying all kind of aerosol in the atmosphere.
I agree with you. Yeah. Thanks for your contribution this morning. Yeah. All right, 445-2041. And the caller that made a lot of points there, and his contribution, as always, is fruitful. Because, sometimes we have the tendency of not thinking, what's happening in other parts of the world is going to have that trickle-down effect on us here in the Caribbean. And sometimes it's too late before we start to figure out. We say, well, that's happening in Ukraine, or that's happening in there, and but sometimes it do have that trickling effect that will certainly affect us from time to time. Good morning, caller. How are you?
I'm all right.
Go right ahead with your contribution, sir.
My contribution is that I'm a bit concerned about a Syrian brother on the carnage. He claims he's Syrian, and he's got quite a bit of documents on his phone claiming he's a Grenadian. Now, there is no one highlighting this problem, and I think there's an African brother that I heard of is in prison languishing at the moment, and he's receiving no help. But we have a Syrian here that has no sort of documentation to live here, and he's just relaxing, cool and calm on the Carnage Promenade. I find this absolutely disgusting, and something needs to be done, basically.
Is he in any way infringing on anyone or stuff like that?
It is nothing about infringement. Does he have the right to live in this country? That is not. It is totally different, sir.
All right.
I cannot go to Syria and live without the authorities giving me a check. I'm sorry, but it's just the reality. There's an immigration department who takes care of these things.
Well, if he's of another nationality, there may have been a process of him coming to Grenada. Would you say so? Well, I guess the call is out. I guess he didn't want to get into a bit of debate with it. I understand where he's coming from, but if someone is coming to the island, there will be a process in which they will come into the island. I don't think no one is able to just pop into the island just like that. And but I understand your concern. No, of course, ill health meant by me asking that question. Good morning to you, caller. How are you?
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. I just want to highlight the fact that. Hello.
I'm listening to you, caller. Go right ahead.
Oh, yes, good morning. I'm just trying to highlight the fact that people are just constructing these crate-like buildings around Grenada without the authorities' consent.
Could you repeat what they are constructing?
Crate-like structures.
Crate-like structures. Okay.
Around Grenada.
Mm-hmm. Talking about those little using crates and building up stuff and stuff like that.
Yes.
Speaking regular.
And it is making the place look somewhat shanty-like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there has to be somebody to regulate or to find it, because people just cannot construct without getting consent, I assume.
I understand where you're coming from.
And yes, we do not want to rid anybody of them creating or getting employment. We certainly do not want to do that, but there must be some kind of structure.
There should be some process. I understand.
Yes,
I understand.
Once one person does it, you realize a number of persons are doing it. And
seems to be the norm.
The authorities who should be looking at those things. Look at it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your contribution. 435-2041. 435-2041. Is it my microphone that is giving me that little feedback this morning for some reason? Let me get it out of the way a little bit. All right. 435-2041. We're taking your calls. 435-2041. And as a caller alluded to, we see those structures being built all around. Folks put this thing up and they start selling and so forth. And it probably should be looked into. I think there was a time that these things were looked into from one time or the other. Then, sometimes the whole process just gets where no one seems to be paying attention to it anymore, and then it just gets out of hand. I find this guy has built up this little thing. They selling fruits, vegetables maybe, or he starts selling food or something like that, or a little bar per se, and then, someone else felt he's doing good at that. Let me start mine. And, and what happens. And I understand where the caller is calling from. Calling, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Philip.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. I was calling for that for the longest while, for the same structures they're putting up. Mm-hmm. I said directly what they should be doing. The people should have to go to planning division, just as how you're going to build your houses or so, and planning come and look at you and give you what you're supposed to build in those areas. And the other problem is, I don't know how they don't get electricity in this old kind of little shutdown building. I don't know how they're getting electricity giving them current. All by the port area there, always block up. Somebody coming down, a man just pack up in front of you and he leave and he go and buy something. When you think he's moving, just buy something, you hold up, you have to try to see if you can get up behind it and all those kind of things.
All right.
And the second thing again, Mr. Telesod, what I was saying, the amount of homes they're putting on the road, I don't think right now we need all those homes. I think the government of Grenada should join with Checkley, what's his name? Checkley, and put up cameras all over the place. Where you could take your vehicle back and front when you're speeding and what you're doing, they take your vehicle back and front. And they could make some money and the government could make
some money. There could be some financial benefit for government through that, for real.
Yeah, financially, well, the government give them the right. Yep. You understand? Mm-hmm. And then they could get the money from the bank or wherever and put it together. And then when the things go back to the place on the corners where the police are there, and everything will go back to there, and they will see it, and they will take it from there, and they start charging everybody. So the government could make some money from that, and the guy will get his money back, and he'll make coming like a
they don't always have to go through a third party. I think if the traffic department is thinking
right,
on that level, they could actually have this thing implemented. Government can put it up, cameras that will I always don't like to rave comparison. I always put like the thing on my own, but you look at other parts of the world where that's happening, and you get a ticket in the mail. You understand? Hey, you were speeding. You understand? Or you cross a traffic light without stopping or other stuff.
Yeah, right.
I understand.
Right now in New York, they used to have it until 12. Now they have it going 24 hours now. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys get in hold because they know it was until 12 o'clock.
All right.
You understand? They change it now. So they're going until, right around the clock, 24 hours. So a lot of guys get in hold with that.
Thank you for your contribution, caller. All right. 435-2041, 435-2041. It's an open line today here on To The Point. We're taking your calls. And before we let's take this final caller, and then we're going to take a break and get into another segment. Hi, good morning to you, caller. How are you?
Morning, ED. What's up, man?
I'm doing okay.
Regarding the person who made the call for the crate stuff, there was 3 to 4 people who actually erected this kind of stuff right now on the Lagoon Road area. Especially, there's one guy, I don't know how he did it, but he actually built it in the water.
Yeah.
He built it just like, you know how normally they use a drill to put this stuff in the water and then build over it?
Yeah.
And this guy raised a nice bar right there, right in front of, I think, what do you call this place? By the miners area there.
I understand.
So, I mean,
caller, we've been speaking about this a couple of weeks now. Folks have been calling in about that.
And that happens during the carnival time, yeah?
Yeah, but
when these people erected those now, you see there should be people monitoring there. As soon as carnival is over, this will be moved.
I understand. You maybe they should have maybe given a little leeway for the carnival season. That may be understandable. But after carnival, I think these should be demolished and removed from there.
Yeah, as soon as carnival, the next day everything should be out of the way. I mean, we all have to live, right?
I understand. Anyway, thanks for your contribution, caller.
Yeah, who you go? It's time for the government to evaluate all those things and, come up with proper vending facilities coordination. That is my take on this. Even when you look at the what do you call it, opposite where the ships normally stays there, that whole strip, normally there's supposed to be a parking lot for the trucks, and you see everybody just erecting booths. Yeah? What you call it, boat highway? I think that, it's supposed to be a parking lot for the trucks, and now people are erecting those booths and containers, professionally done.
All right, caller. Thanks for your contribution this morning. 445-2041, but we're going to take a short break. We're coming back. When we come back from the break, we take more of your calls. Stay with us here on K105 GBN TV.
Affordable. Building or renovating your home or business? Why not use clean, renewable energy? Install solar panels to power your home and office and see your energy costs go down and your savings go up. Using renewable solar-powered energy protects our environment, reduces our carbon footprint, and slows the devastating impact of climate change. Republic Bank can help to finance construction and renovations that make use of renewable energy. Visit any Republic Bank branch and ask about renewable energy financing options today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
The loss of sexual desire and endurance can be both devastating and frustrating to a man. To gain these feelings back with a sense of power and stamina that lasts, use Hard On Plus. Hard On Plus, this natural herbal male sexual formula enriched with zinc, has no side effects. Hard On Plus offers vitality and strength to last longer when it matters. For stamina, for strength, for pleasure. Get Hard On Plus.
Hard On Plus is available in Grenada at Gittins Healthcare Pharmacies, Hills and Valley Pharmacies in Grenada and Carriacou, We Care Pharmacy, Gittins Pharmacare, Grenada Pharmacy, Atlantic Health Supplies, and exclusively distributed by R.A. Clark Distributions. Phone 416-0426.
Win more with the NLA's Daily Cash Fall. Every day with more plays and bigger prizes to be won. It's a 4-digit game with all the bet types you already know and much, much more. From 0000 to 9999. Choose your 4 numbers and place your bet from 11 different bet types. Choose from inline, 4 different mixes, first 3, last 3, and 4 different backup options too. Best of all, it starts at just $1, except for backups, which starts at $2. Win as much as $5,000 with a $1 inline bet and as much as $6,200 in a $2 backup bet. Imagine $50,000 for a winning $10 inline bet. There's definitely more to win with the Daily Cash 4. More plays, bigger prizes, twice per day, Mondays to Saturdays. Must be 18 and over to participate. NLA, making your dreams come true while supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Mr. mentioned the wing high, then you have things like man, you must come back, you know. We have the low power there.
It is kind of like the same man, and it's just different name for the same kind of thing.
And last but not least, I just want to say to all the men who saw me, call me, and ask for a piece of cake. I'm baking this weekend.
Join us Fridays at 8 on GBN Television, K105 FM, GBN's Facebook page, and YouTube channel for We Culture. As GBN brings you coverage of this year's Hero CPL, there will be some adjustments to our programming lineup. On Wednesday, 31st August and Thursday, 1st September 2022, transitions will be aired at 5:05 p.m. GBN TV News will be at 6 p.m. and repeated right after the CPL match. Transitions will be rebroadcast after the GBN News repeat. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere with sports coverage.
My granddaughter.
It is important to know what your road signs and markings means. The zigzag lines means you should not park in the marked area. Parking is allowed inside the solid white lines on the edge of the road. Remember, look out for pedestrians. Pedestrians, be sure the vehicle comes to a complete stop before crossing. These tips can save your life. These tips can make our roads safer for all users. Be safe, be seen, be smart. A message from the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force.
Storm out careless or intentional bushfires, dead out. Youths, hunters, smokers, less
certainly back with you in the morning time. Our apology for that break there a short while ago. Our apology for that, but we back for a wee bit. But we do have some guests that will be popping in with us shortly here on To The Point. They're a little bit on off the schedule, but just had to chip them in for a wee bit. We'll continue for the next couple of minutes in terms of taking your phone calls and so forth in terms of the open line. Then we're going to see some of that just a wee bit and entertain our guests this morning. Our apology for having to move from one direction to another. Sincere apology for that. Let's go back to the phone lines and take a little caller. Caller, good morning, and how are you?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say the gentleman who spoke about this senator who's a Muslim. If I'm not mistaken, I think this man could be a Grenadian, born Grenadian. I think he's the son of Bobby's Tiamat, and Bobby's Tiamat was married to a Grenadian girl, Kangwal. And I'm not sure this young man could be her son. I don't know, but before we say so many things, we better check him out, see if he's a Grenadian. Could be, I said, born Grenadian. So I think we should check it. And then secondly, what I want to talk about, they complain about all these crate-like things around the island in different places. That was a reflection of the kind of poverty Grenada was brought to. So everybody putting up something somewhere to make a living. So that is where we were headed, and thank God he has taken us out of it. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you there for your contribution this morning. 435-2041. As mentioned when I started, we do have some guests who will be popping in with us shortly, maybe in the next couple of minutes, just around 9:30, and we'll have a chit chat with them. Stick around for that. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning, GT. How are you?
I'm doing okay, sir. What about you?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right.
I'm very happy to learn that the problems at TAMCC are being addressed. However, I hope that the settling of the issues involved would signal an end to corruption within the institution. Let me just quote briefly from what an educational newsletter says about corruption. The impact of corruption goes beyond education. It is a drag on development, hits the poor hardest, produces social discontent, undermines faith in institutions and the legitimacy of governments. A culture of corruption also translates the injustices produced into disillusionment and consternation. Thanks for taking my call and have a very good weekend.
Same to you, sir. All the best. Have a great weekend also. It's To The Point for today, Friday, here on K105 and GBN TV. And as mentioned, we're going to be still taking a couple of your calls until we get down to about 9:30. That's just about 3 minutes or so from now. And then we do have some guests who we'll be chit-chatting with. Stick around for that. It should be an interesting conversation. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, good morning, and how are you? Good morning to you, caller.
Hey, good morning. I just want to tell you something about the road in by the Anglican Church in Monjeru. Like you have the swimming pool, Good Hope swimming pool.
Yes.
Three big holes. Some of the authorities have to do something about it. Thank you very much.
All right, caller, thank you so much. Hope the authorities heard what you said, and they will certainly look into it. It's K105 on your dial, GBN TV. It's To The Point today, Friday, the second day of September. Still have time to take one more caller inside this segment, and we're going to take a break, and then we go have a chit-chat. We go into that chit-chat with our guests. Good morning to you, caller. How are you?
Hello, morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
I want to comment relative to the resignation of my good friend Aligio. I listened to the rapid fire that came from the people, generally speaking, relative to what they call or criticize as the success or non-success of so-called Carnival. And if that represents what culture, as we like to say it, our Grenada people has to be so identified with, I think it's a sad situation. Because I'll be honest with you and say to you, I'm no fan of our culture, what we call our culture. Because our culture, generally as I understand it, is steeped and is rift with a whole lot of superstition and evil connotations and mentality. It is inspired and influenced by a lot of evil relative to superstition and the confusion that it creates, because Carnival represents it to quite an extent. And the confusion that it creates is as a result, or it results in, for example, Ali Gill and my other good friend Shoma having to resign in this given situation, because the criticism that's been coming from the people shows what is actually going on. A whole wall of confusion. Our culture is steeped in confusion, like I said, with evil mentality and outer superstition. So it's a continued controversy, and it's no surprising thing to me.
All right.
That's part of our problem that we need to resolve.
All right.
I don't think I don't like culture, generally speaking, because I understand the part that culture plays in the development of our people. But in our case, it is not developing our people. That's the point I'm making to quite an extent.
All right.
It is basically backward. Simple and straightforward. I know people might not like what I just said, but our culture represents a lot of backwardness. Simple, straightforward to my mind. Take care.
Thank you for your contribution, caller. Hey, folks, it's To The Point for today, Friday. We're going to take a break. Time check, it's 30 minutes exactly after the hour, 9 o'clock here on K105 and GBN TV. We'll take a break, and when we come back, as promised, we do have some guests that we're chatting with this morning, and a little bit late in terms of getting them on the point this morning, but we still going to have some time that we could have some conversation with them. We're coming right back after the break.
Building or renovating your home or business? Why not use clean, renewable energy? Install solar panels to power your home and office and see your energy costs go down and your savings go up. Using renewable solar-powered energy protects our environment, reduces our carbon footprint, and slows the devastating impact of climate change. Republic Bank can help to finance construction and renovations that make use of renewable energy. Visit any Republic Bank branch and ask about renewable energy financing options today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
The loss of sexual desire and endurance can be both devastating and frustrating to a man. To gain these feelings back with a sense of power and stamina that lasts, use Hard On Plus. Hard On Plus, this natural herbal male sexual formula enriched with zinc, has no side effects. Hard On Plus offers vitality and strength to last longer when it matters. For stamina, for strength, for pleasure. Get Hard On Plus.
Hard On Plus is available in Grenada at Gittins Healthcare Pharmacies, Hills and Valley Pharmacies in Grenada and Carriacou, We Care Pharmacy, Gittins Pharmacare, Grenada Pharmacy, Atlantic Health Supplies, and exclusively distributed by R.A. Clark Distributions. Phone 416-0426.
Welcome back. It's K105 and GBN TV. It's To The Point for today, Friday. I did mention in the previous segment, folks, that we do have some guests with us this morning that we're going to have a bit of a chit-chat with. And just had a pop in on me, so we're going to, of course, accommodate them, of course. So we do have two individuals with us this morning. I'm going to let them introduce themselves shortly. I'm just going to give you a brief description pertaining to the reason why they're going to be on To The Point this morning. We have for you the Bonaire Human Rights Organization, and they're going to be with us this morning on the chit chat. Before we went any further, let me say good morning to both gentlemen this morning. Good morning to both of you. How are you this morning? I think I know of Mr. Cox. Let me say good morning to you, sir. How are you doing? I'm going to let you introduce yourself first, and of course we go over to the other gentleman. Let you both introduce in terms of your names and the reasons why we're going to get into this conversation this morning. Good morning to you. Mr. Cox, I think for some reason your microphone is muted. You may have to unmute your mic so that we could. Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, good. We got you.
Good morning, and it's certainly a pleasure to be joining the GBN family this morning with my colleagues. That is one of my colleagues from the island of Bonaire. Mm-hmm. As most people might be aware, I'm Milton Coy, and I'm part of the linking with these colleagues through the Grenada Human Rights Organization. Mm-hmm. And they are here as part of a regional journey to create awareness about the conditions in the island, Bonaire. And we'd certainly like to hear from them, from Mr. Finis, the situation there. Right. So, we are glad to be on, and I would certainly like my colleague James Finis to introduce himself as well as we continue this discussion.
All right. Let me say good morning to you, Mr. James Finis. Good morning to you, sir. How you doing? Introduce yourself as well. I already said your name, so I'll just let you go ahead and do the final introduction for me. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having us in your program this morning. I'm very grateful for that opportunity. Yes, Bonaire, short from the organization Human Rights Bonaire and Bonaire, we want Bonaire back. Shortly, Bonaire is an island situated in the southern Caribbean, next to Aruba and Curacao. A lot of Grenadians know Aruba and Curacao, but almost nobody knows Bonaire because it's not known. But we, on our island, we are situated next to the coast of Venezuela. On our island, we have a situation that emerged in 2010. As the whole Caribbean, everybody had democracy. We were on our island. We also were part of the emancipation process. That we were having our own government and we had our own parliament. And so that changed drastically in 2010 when we were reversed to non-autonomy to full colonial rule from The Hague. That everything changed for us at the day, at the time. So with that, we started a trajectory to try to regain our rights as fundamental rights as humans and Caribbean people that they have the right to self-government, that have the right to emancipation, they have the right to democracy. All that has been taken away. So that's a very short introduction.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So let me let's move. Let's stay on, of course, Mr. James this morning pertaining to. Now, you're part of the Bonaire Human Rights Organization, of course, and I'm listening to in your introduction, you talk about the non-self-governing territory that's Bonaire's. Give us some more information about that as we proceed, especially for the listening and viewing audience out there. Give us some more information about the Bonaire Human Rights Organization, how it started and the reasons why it has started and the reason, and then we'll get into some more conversation pertaining to why you're on this particular privilege that you're on right now. Hope I'm getting the word in there, right? That you're on right now, of course, moving around other parts of the world, and why you are here also in Grenada.
Yes, the reason is that our countries, our territories, and after the World War II, the United Nations was created to maintain peace and avoid wars. And the most important decision they took was the world has to be decolonized, because before everyone was colonies. So in that respect, United Nations was merged and with particular institutions of departments to deal directly with the decolonization of the world. And the Caribbean is the one who has all the Caribbean islands were colonies. That is in 45 when the United Nations was emerged. Then that started the process, and we also were colonized by the Dutch, as Grenada was colonized by the British, etc., and some were colonized by the French. So that is where the process started, and then to make it very quick, then that decolonization committee emerged. They call it Committee of Decolonization C24 that emerged, and the colony's name were the same name, non-self-governing territories. So that means a territory that has still a dependent relationship or still a dependency of a colonizer, they call it now administrative power in the international United Nations language. So those colonizing powers, administrative powers that are like Great Britain, of UK, like France, like US, United States also have some countries in the Caribbean, and the Dutch, our colonizers. So those countries had a responsibility with the people they colonized, the territories they colonized, to have them, support them toward decolonization and self-governance, because everybody has the right to govern themselves. That is the base principle of humanity and human rights, and everything else coming after that. So that is where the word non-self-governing territory comes from, and that is official part of the United Nations system, and that is official list where colonies are those non-self-governing territories are listed on. In the Caribbean is where the most of them are present. We give some examples. Under the British, there are like the Cayman Islands, the Turks and Caicos, the Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands. Recently we heard about them, right? The Virgin Islands was in the news. Then Britain wanted to come in back, so that is the system where it's still a colony, and Montserrat, a lot of them. So this is very short. The term non-self-governing territory, but in our case, we were denied that right to go to a process of decolonization, and Holland managed to take us off the list of the countries to be decolonized, and I want to say fool the world, and fool is a nice word, I think, you can use other words, fool the world and the United Nations to take us off the list without ever being decolonized. So we never had equal rights, never had equality, we never had full autonomy like is needed or is acceptable to be taken off the list. So our situation has been being moved away from the world because there's no responsibility of Holland, of Netherlands, to account of anything about us in the world. So that's why our situation was remain under the radar up to 2010 when we lose everything, single autonomy we had before. So that's where our struggle started to regain at least some rights back, and the most effective way of the only way we can have some kind of protection back is of rights back, of way back to self-government is through the United Nations, because all the countries of the Caribbean all went to that process, to the Decolonization Committee, and to get the status they have now in. So that's a short.
Okay. And, let me just cut you here for a minute and ask you this as we move along this morning. Now you've been on this particular pilgrimage for a while. Actually, it started since mid-February, and for the last 6 months. What does your organization hope to achieve by coming to? You've been visiting countries like Latin America and the Caribbean. You're in Grenada right now. What does your organization tends to achieve by coming to the Grenada and other islands of the Caribbean, other parts of Latin America, in terms of what is the achievement you're hoping to, or sensitization per se, for a better word, from your pilgrimage coming here? What is the hope you hope to achieve from this?
Before I continue, we were scheduled to be 9 o'clock, and we have a meeting just now. We are in the States, in New York. So I can only do 5 minutes more.
No problem.
And then I have to run, but I will answer your question. Sorry for that. If you want, we can schedule the next time so I get in details with you, because it's a very interesting story. And I was planned to be from 9 o'clock on the radio. Sorry, we can schedule the next one, but I have to run because we have meetings scheduled this morning. So, but okay, what we have to achieve. The reason is we ourselves on the island have no representation. We lost our representation in the world, not only in the Caribbean, not on our island, because democracy is done. We don't have democratic representation in any Dutch democracy system. We cannot vote ourselves in. We have nothing that can work as the democracy that we all know that doesn't exist, first. Secondly, we don't have international representation because we are being represented by the Dutch kingdom and the Dutch. So whenever they talk about Bonaire, you see a Dutchman sitting there and talking about those islands. And now it went a step further. If you're going to Google after the programs, look for Bonaire, you won't find Bonaire. You will find Curacao and Aruba, but the island Bonaire disappeared. They changed it to Caribbean Netherlands. So that doesn't have to happen. So our island is systematically, its identity is being erased, and etc. But what our objective is, because this is something that the world decided cannot exist anymore. Everybody's saying we are in a post-colonial era. No, we are in the hardest core of colonialism at this moment, our situation, and nobody knows about it because we have no international representation. We have no one to speak on our behalf. We have no one to say what our issues on the island of what we're going through. So with that, we break through as a civil society, because governments cannot speak on our behalf, because only one can speak on our behalf is the Dutch government internationally. So we as human rights has the right, because it's my right, to speak up on a fundamental right. That's why I can speak today. That's why I'm speaking today, actually, because they cannot stop me from speaking on my human rights. So in that, we went to in this awareness mission that we went to the Central America. Yes, they never heard about Bonaire. No. They never know what's going on. No. But now, from Mexico to Chile, they know.
All right.
We have been 6 months away from home. But that's what we're going to do. And so they all know now that Bonaire exists, they know our situation, and what they know now that this is impossible, that this in this day and age, 21st century, something like this is happening to a small people that has no power to defend themselves. We have no rights nowhere to stand up for ourselves and anywhere say, I can do this, I can do that. That's non-existent our situation. So this is where the world. And then we moved to the Caribbean, where we were in Barbados, in St. Vincent, and then in Grenada. Last week we were in Grenada.
All right.
And then they now know, and they all understand, what is this happening? And I'm not saying this because I'm saying by Charles Labour, we make an international report, we commission an international report that governments do. We have to raise that money ourselves as an NGO on a small island, $30,000. It takes 3 years to do that, to have this documented in this assessment report made. With this report, we're going around the counties and telling our story and showing them the truth through how our situation has been investigated, reported at a United Nations level, because this report is recognized by the United Nations as independent and also has been used in an earlier case like us in 2013 with the French Polynesian island that were also put back on the list. So that is our objective.
All right.
People put on the list, and for that, the countries, the independent countries of the United Nations, have to stand up for us. And we know they will stand up for us because they all went through the same process to be where they are today. We can do it ourselves because this is a matter of power, not justice, what's happening to us. So they have to use their democratic power and the power they have now to help us become as citizens as everybody else now, who has power, who has rights, who has democracy, who has human rights, who has all of us, everybody enjoys. We don't have that. So that is where we are. And right. I think with that, I want to stop because I have to run.
Certainly do understand that, Mr. James. Yeah. Mr. James, I want to thank you once again. I know that you have to run. Sad that we didn't get to start this because I'm just getting the gist of your concern and the empathy that goes out to you and your people for the situation that you are in right now. And certainly hope that we could reschedule this sometime in the future where we can have a more discussion pertaining to this. Thank you once again. We will continue our this conversation with Mr. Koi, and he will share some information in terms of. Let's go over back to Mr. Koi. Mr. Koi, good morning to you again. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm doing
All
okay.
right. Now, tell me, you being part of the local human rights organization, Grenada Human Rights Organization. How is it that how does the Grenada Human Rights Organization feels about the situation in Brunei per se? Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, I must say that I got in touch, or we were connected somewhere in 2018 when they made a visit passing through Grenada, a similar one, but not that extensive as this time. And we discussed the issues. In fact, at the time, we also met with the foreign minister at the time to explain this situation of the people of Bonnet, that they are denied rights. I understand that it's not a case of them looking for or seeking independence, but before independence comes the basic right to be recognized as someone, as a people. And so a few years passed, and we have still been connected. We have still been looking at the situation. And so, as James said, they have started this journey. In fact, this is about 199 days since they would have left Bonnet on this pilgrimage to create that awareness.
All right.
The Grenada Human Rights Organization understands fully well that the people who has been kept under bondage, as it were, is not right. Internationally, there are provisions made for all countries to go through that process. And what is interesting from our standpoint, also, there are some blatant human rights violations that's been taking place. No right to speak, no right to a hearing, and everything is just suppressed. Really,
it kind of makes you worry in this day and age. You know, in this day and age, if we still have those level of incidents happening in countries today, you understand. And thinking about as James said, thinking about the country being a non-self-governing territory in this day and age, we wonder, is these things still do exist? You understand?
Yes, it does. It does. I mean, the striking thing here is that at one time they were. And I know that James, in his resistance, and as part of the process, that's where we are here today, he demonstrated. He sat outside the Parliament then building for 222 days, and people were just bringing things, food and so on. But when the system, when they realized that, hey, these people are determined, they asked for a referendum.
Yeah.
And so in the Bonnet history, you hear about 10. Now, so the issue was that they gave in and said, let's have a referendum. A referendum was called June on the 10th of the 10th in 2010. And the question was, do you want to remain under the status, or do you want to be part of the kingdom, which is Holland and the Netherlands? The people overwhelmingly supported James and said no. 6% said no. Now, you think they would honor that?
And you're still saying that nothing actually came out of it, even though they had that 10-10 back then, where they had that referendum that was done, and actually nothing came out of it.
Nothing came out of that. Instead, I understand that they actually seem to be on a process to annihilate the
referendum
Bonnet experience, in the sense that they now, since then, they have brought in teachers. All the governors, all the heads of department came from Netherlands, Holland. Yeah, and so the people of Bonnet do not necessarily are seen as important and are seen as can contribute towards the development of the country. And this is the struggle.
Yeah.
They are trying to be, as I said, not seeking for independence, but the first step, the first phase that we are, as colonies, as former colonies, had to go through. And that is where the struggle is, and that is where the Grenada Human Rights Organization, as a partner, as a sister organization, we stand resolute and are in solidarity with the people of Bonnet so that they can be recognized as and be part of the international and the global community, and not just that the colonizer would speak on their behalf, just that they have a voice and a right to a voice. And
let me ask you this. Being part of this whole of trying to centralize this whole issue that is going on in Brunei, and they've been going from island to island through Latin America and even now in the Caribbean. How does your organization per se feels about what is going on there, and how do you think has it bring any benefits for the human rights organization of Brunei, in which Mr. James is part of? You understand? How do has this brought any great achievement to them? Has they been getting the feedback or contributions from other islands that would say yes, we are in support of what is happening there? In terms
yes, there definitely has been greater awareness, and more people are understanding the cause and the plight that they have found themselves in, and so the pendulum is shifting. As I understand it, almost all the countries that they would have gone to, there was a support-based leadership, even organizations, civil society organizations, to understand this.
Let me ask you this also: has there been any intervention into this in terms of other countries from Latin America and the Caribbean? Has there been any intervention in terms of speaking to the authorities there in terms of helping these people to be able to self-govern themselves to a point? Has there been intervention?
The intervention, the purpose of all of this is to head to the United Nations, and they are in New York at this time, looking at meeting with during a session of the community. Yeah, so there are people who are prepared, countries, governments, people, general human rights, who are willing to raise their concern at that level, so that the names can be back on the list of self-governing states. Right. So what at this time, they are in the process of meeting with these international bodies and the UN. In fact, the UN is meeting this month in New York, and they are there as part of sensitization. Well, the people are already been sensitized, but the issue is that to get the name back on the list. And once that is done, a lot of things can happen after that.
All right. Mr. Koi, I want to thank you so much for chiming in this morning. I know we got up to a late start in terms of this because, of course, I was on one of you popping in this morning. But we still were able to get, some information in. And I mean, hopefully sometime in the future we can discuss this again. I'm sure we can get Mr. Of course, James back in with us and yourself. And we could see how the future goes forward for that particular organization and for the people of Brunei as a whole. I want to
just make a brief comment here and say I want to say to the people of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, that when we see our neighbor's house on fire, we have to wet our words. Things can change, and we certainly do not like that for others and for ourselves. So we call on everyone to stand in solidarity. These people have a voice, they have a life that we want to ensure that they're not relegated to second-class citizens. And so, as an organization, the Grenada Human Rights Organization, we stand in solidarity and we do anything that is possible within our abilities to ensure that this happens.
All right. Let me thank you once again, Sokoi, for popping in with us. It was definitely a pleasure, of course, talking to both of you this morning. And I wish you all the best. And I do wish Mr. James and his organization all the best also. Have yourself a great day and a good weekend to come.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Hey, folks, this is where we come to wrap up to the point for today. We have 1 minute to go before the top of the hour, and it was a bit of an abbreviated version of To The Point this morning. We did start off, of course, taking your calls, and then, of course, we did have to entertain, of course, the folks from the Brunei Human Rights Organization. We had Mr. Koi from the Grenada Human Rights Organization popping in with us also, and certainly fruitful information. And I certainly hope that we could do this again, and certainly get more information and see how we here in Grenada could certainly help in situations like that. So until we have another edition of To The Point, which will be on Monday of our next week, let me say thanks for all of you who participated during the course of this week in terms of the phone calls and so forth. Thank you so much. Those of you who just took the time out to view, those of you who just listened, maybe have not participated in terms of calling in and so forth, but you were just there listening and observing all that happened. Thank you once again, and until this is where I say goodbye for To The Point for today. Have a good weekend, one and all.